Alright, this video is very Magic the Gathering related, so if you're not into Magic the Gathering, I would advise checking out my Ultimate playlist in the description down below. You might be able to find a video that's probably more suited because I'm not really going to explain anything. But if you're sticking around, enjoy the video. Alright, this is a little bit of a weird one, okay? This is going to be very different to what I normally do. I'm going to create a commander deck for the Beamtown Bullies. Now, the Beamtown Bullies is a new card from New Capenna that came out, and I would like to make a commander deck around it. So what I thought I'd do is I'd make a video out of it. I would explain my process of how I look for cards, what I do to try and build around the commander, to try and show my process of how I make my amazing decks, basically. God, how do I turn off dark mode? Office theme, white. Oh my god, ugh! Beamtown Bullies is a legendary creature, has vigilance and haste. Its ability is tap target opponent whose turn it is, puts target non-legendary creature card from your graveyard onto the battlefield under their control. It gains haste. Goad it. At the beginning of the next end step, exile it. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack there, but let's just go through the notes that I have, and I'll try and walk you through my process. So the goal of the deck. The goal of the deck is to create positive and negative effects for my opponents using the creatures I give them, while still giving myself an edge to win the game later in the match. Now, I do want to add to this, is I have found a few cards that might be immediate wins. Potential immediate wins, I'm going to add. Yeah, potential immediate wins off of creature cards given to my opponents. Okay, now I've split up this deck into a few different sections, I guess. Positive effects for the table, negative effects for the table, positive effects for me, negative effects for me. So positive effects for the table is when I give a creature to someone, does it create a positive effect for everyone on the table? So all my opponents and myself. Does it create a negative effect for the table? And likewise, does it give a positive effect for me when I play the creature or when my opponent plays the creature? And negative effects for me when I play the creature or my opponent plays the creature. Now, when I create a new commander deck, what I like to do is reread the card over and over so I can try and find any way I can sort of use the card in a different way. I think the perfect example of this is Tuvasa. I have a Tuvasa deck, which is a banned deck. Okay, so Tuvasa the Sunlit gets 1/1 for each enchantment I control. Whenever you cast your first enchantment spell each turn, draw a card. So I read that, I saw the words each turn and went, got it, flash deck. So if I'm casting enchantment spells on each of my opponent's turns, that's a much better way to play the deck than just playing enchantment spells on my turn. So what I did was I just read this card and broke it down into extreme steps. So the Beamtown Bully says, tap target opponent whose turn it is. So we could potentially tap this guy during combat, so my opponent can use my creatures for blockers. So I might be able to save someone else if they're being attacked. So I might need to think about that. I could have some blocking effects, some positive blocking effects on my opponents maybe. Whose turn it is, puts target non-legendary creature card from my graveyard. Non-legendary creature cards, so I probably need more non-legendaries for targets than legendaries, which is definitely okay. I can definitely do that. Onto the battlefield under their control. It gains haste, goad it. So it gains haste and goad it. I might need some positive effects for attacking my opponents, because if the creature is goaded and they do attack with it, especially if they're attacking my opponent, maybe I could have some positive effects on my side of the board that would help me, because I'm definitely giving them my creature, so why would I not have an effect that helps me as well? Gains haste, goad it, at the beginning of the next end step. So beginning of the next end step is, I guess, interesting. I might need to look into end the turn abilities. I might need to look into that. Maybe the creature still dies on the next end step after that. Let me just explain. If I give my opponent a creature, and that creature says at the beginning of the next end step, exile it, but when it gets to the next end step, the trigger goes on the stack to exile the creature, am I able to end the turn so then that trigger goes and they just get to keep the creature? That's potentially what I'm thinking of. At the beginning of the next end step, exile it. Exile it. So what happens to the card when it's exiled? Could I recast it potentially from exile? So maybe there are cards that I can give to my opponent that they can use for a blocker. Then once that goes back to my exile pile, I can then cast from my exile pile so I have another blocker. Maybe. And then flicker blink effects to return it to my side of the field. Now, if I give them a creature, am I able to somehow flicker or blink that creature so it returns to my side of the field so I can use it? However, I don't know if those are in these colors. So I will definitely need to look into that. Okay, this is all I've got so far. I know it's not much, but we've got the Beamtown Bullies. This is all we need. So we're going to build off of this. So I do have a few cards listed that I do want to add. Or I do potentially want to add, I mean. Okay, so this is what I've got so far. Hold on, I need that. Oh God, what's the card's name? Honestly, this website is fantastic. Like, it's only black. I just don't know the name of the card. Click on black, please. Come on. Add. Its CMC is equal to 4. I don't know its power and toughness. I will scroll through every single card in the game before I find this creature. I'm going to find this creature. I know what it does. You sack 2 creatures, you return 1. It's a legendary card. I think it came out in Dominaria. It's here somewhere. I just got to find it. Whisper! There we go. Sacrifice 2 creatures. Return target creature card from my graveyard to the battlefield. There we go. I need to add Whisper. I feel like that'd be a good add. Alright, I'm adding all these to the maybe board because I'm not sure yet. So I've got a lot of, like, screw my opponent cards, really. Abyssal Persecutor. You can't win the game, and your opponents can't lose the game. If I give that to my opponent as they're about to kill me, maybe that'll help. Anger, just a good card for us. Artisan of Kozilek. That's just a good card. I can give it to my opponent, or I can give it to myself. Avenger of Zendikar. That comes in the precon, so I really don't see a reason not to remove it. Really don't see a reason to remove it, sorry. Boulderweir Heavyweights, I'm sort of 50-50 on, honestly. All of these effects that, like, when they come into play, all of your opponents get something. I'm just not sure. Because I know the creatures in my deck, and I know that I could bring out an Avenger of Zendikar and be like, haha, I have all these plans now. But my opponents could get the piece to win the game. If I just give one of my opponents an 8-8. Like, do you know what I mean? This is definitely, like, probably going to remove, which I'll just remove it now. I'm not sold. I'm not sold. Breaker of Armies. All creatures able to block Breaker of Armies do so. I've added this guy and Nessian Boar. Basically, so my opponents can wipe out each other's boards. And at the loss of my creature, really, doesn't matter. Especially if these creatures actually die on my opponent's side as well. They would actually go to my graveyard and not get exiled, which is sort of fantastic for me. Flayer of the Hatebound, sorry. Whenever it or another creature enters the battlefield from your graveyard, that creature deals damage equal to its power to any target. So basically, I'm giving this creature to someone else. They get a free 4 damage to something and an Undying creature. Plus, Undying is when this creature dies if it had no 1/1 counters on it, returns to the battlefield under its owner's control with a 1/1 counter on it. So it actually returns under my field, which is pretty interesting. Hunted Wampus, again, not too sure. Each other player may put a creature card from their hand onto the battlefield. I don't know. I'm not sold. It doesn't give me any immediate... It does give me an immediate effect, but I don't know if that effect is worth me giving my opponent a 6/6 and then all of my opponents getting something for free. I don't know. Inverter of Truth, basically just I win, or that player loses. Enters the battlefield, exile all cards from your library face down, then shuffle all cards from your graveyard into your library. To say, we're halfway through the game, they have like 30 cards in their graveyard, they go from 60 in their deck to 30. Which is it's not that bad, honestly. Karazakar, whenever you attack a player, tap target creature that player controls and goad it. It's basically just a good effect for me. I don't really want to give this to my opponents. Whenever an opponent attacks another one of your opponents, you and the attacking player each draw a card and lose a life. Which I think is pretty good to add when all my creatures I give to my opponents are goaded. Leveler, when it enters the battlefield, exile all cards from your library. Basically just that player loses. The Lore Mage is a sus one. Alright, search a library for a card, put it into your graveyard, then shuffle. If it's an instant or sorcery card, it gets a 1/1 counter. I'm not sold because I feel like I could just do this effect better with a sorcery or an instant card. Like if I just discarded my hand, I could discard one of these creatures that I want to give out. So I'm not sure. This is definitely a maybe card. Phyrexian Negator, when it's dealt damage, sacrifice that many permanents. The cost is probably putting me off, honestly, but it's there as a maybe. Soul Gorger Org. When it comes into play, you lose all but 1 life. When it leaves play, you gain life equal to the life you lost when it came into play. The way that I see I could use this card is someone declares no blocks when they're about to be swung at. I could give them this creature, put them to 1, and since they declared no blocks, they just lose. So right now, I think I've got 3 you lose cards. Yeah, I've got 3 just that you lose now, which is really good. When it comes into play, each opponent may put any number of artifact, creature, enchantment, and or land cards from their hand into play. Again, I'm not sure. There's a chance that if I give someone this creature, one of my opponents might get a better benefit than I will. So again, I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. But it is $10, so I'm probably going to cut it anyway. Underrealm Lich is just a good card in those colors. Violent Tumor, when it enters the battlefield, search your library for a card, put that card into your graveyard, and then shuffle. Again, 50-50. It does have Death Touch, so it does have that over the Auric. However, it's only once, so I don't know. Whisper, I think is pretty good. I think it's definitely a keep. Sacrifice 2 creatures, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, which I'm definitely okay with doing. We'll sort out these cards later. I basically just want to I just want to fix up the creatures first and maybe the enchantments. Because just going back to my... Oops, sorry about that flip to white there. Probably blinded someone. Because going back to, I guess, my deck tech here. Positive effects for attacking my opponents. I might need to look into some of these curses. Because they could definitely provide good benefits for me and bad benefits for my opponents. Bad benefits? What does that even mean? Each player may put... Yeah, let's get rid of the Wampus. I'm not a fan of giving my opponents positive effects. Tempting Worm. I know it's on my Word document here to say, oh, maybe I can give my opponent a positive effect. But I'm thinking something a little bit different than that. This big of a benefit of just getting a free creature is something I'm not a fan of. However, I did just think of a creature, which might be interesting. You're gonna love this one, don't worry. I just gotta find it. Where? Rootweaver Druid, here we go. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent may search their library for up to 3 basic land cards. They each put one of those cards onto the battlefield tapped under your control, and the rest onto the battlefield tapped under their control. So this is very, very interesting, because if I give my opponent a Rootweaver Druid, I get the option to look for 2 basic land cards. So I get the option to look for 3 basic land cards and give them 1. So I have a benefit here. And then I can convince all of my opponents to say, no, like this is, like, it's bad, you shouldn't do it, but then it's my card, so I'm going to do it. So I feel like this is definitely a must-add. Definitely going in the main deck for sure. Boom, boom. Now let's move a couple of these cards over. I think all creatures able to block X do so is a pretty good effect, so I might look at that next. All creatures able to block. Cool. Let's take a look. Ocarina Assassin, maybe? Death Touch. All creatures able to block it do so. That's interesting. It's sort of like what I'm moving into. Death Touch. All creatures able to block Ocarina Assassin do so. This is definitely getting added. Boom, boom. Done. Added. This is not as good, or not what I'm thinking of. All creatures able to block it do so. When it dies, draw 3 cards. I don't really want my opponents to be getting positive effects, so maybe... I'm flipping over, sorry, close your eyes. So, I don't really think this is going to be as positive, or have as many listed. So, can use during combat for blockers. So maybe we should look at some indestructible cards as well. I think that might be interesting. Because we could be able to... If I give my opponent a creature that has indestructible, he can definitely survive. Or maybe, like, this creature can block multiple creatures, maybe? Okay, let's look at indestructible first. I don't think it... Did I spell that right? Yeah, indestructible. It's not blue, not white. Taking out white out of the equation is definitely going to reduce the amount of searches. Amount of results, I mean. Alright. Defender, pay 2, gains indestructible. Ooh, Oh, okay. This is 50-50 for me. Brash Taunter. Indestructible, whenever it's dealt damage, it deals that much damage to target opponent. I don't think I can add that, but it's really interesting. Because if he takes damage, they might deal the damage to me. But this is definitely a maybe. Maybe I can convince my opponents to hit someone else with the damage. Maybe. Ooh, okay. No, this is interesting. Colossus of Akros. Defender, indestructible, monstrosity 10. As long as it is monstrous, it has trample and it can attack as though it didn't have defender. But if I just give my opponent a 10-10 indestructible defender, that could be interesting. Okay, this is definitely the maybe board. It's definitely, I can help out my opponent with blocking. That'd be fantastic. It just gives me another option. I'm just not seeing that card that just jumps out at me, you know? Alright, so what we've got is Creepy Doll. Whenever it's indestructible. Whenever it deals combat damage to a creature, flip a coin. If you win the flip, destroy that creature. This is probably going to be more of a defense card. Nah, I'm not using it. Guillaume Master Chef could be interesting. At the beginning of your end step, create a number of food tokens equal to the number of non-token creatures you had enter the battlefield under your control this turn. Pay 1, sack a food, target creature gains indestructible until the end of turn, tap it. I give my opponent Guillaume, they get a food, so they actually get a slight benefit out of it, and they can use that food to gain some life later on. Plus they also get a blocker. And if they block, then I can use it again. But I'll definitely add it to the maybe list. Which is slowly growing. Okay, the last one we've got is Impervious Great Worm. A 16/16 indestructible, just big dumb dude. Okay, we got quite a few. I'm gonna switch over. Non-legendary creature card. Yep, definitely doing that. Goad it. Positive effects for attacking my opponents. So what have we got in positive effect wise? I believe you can put curses on your opponents. So if I look up, well, the name is curse. Also, I think they need to be... sorry. The types need to be enchantment. Okay, let's try again. Okay. Beginning of the upkeep, no. If a source would deal damage to enchanted player, it deals double that damage to player instead. Maybe. Curse of Chaos. Whenever a player attacks enchanted player with one or more creatures, that attacking player may discard a card. If the player does, they draw a card. No, I want something like Curse of Bounty, where it affects me and the player. Curse of Disturbance. Whenever an enchanted player is attacked, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Each opponent attacking the player does the same. Okay, maybe. Ooh, Curse of Hospitality. Creatures attacking enchanted player have trample. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to enchanted player, that player exiles the top card of the library until the end of turn. The creature's controller may play that card, and they may pay any mana, blah 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 blah. Definitely adding to this deck. I think Curse of Disturbance is a maybe. I'm not sure if the 2/2 black zombies sort of sell it for me, but Curse of Hospitality is definitely a yes. Curse of Opulence. Whenever enchanted player is attacked, create a gold token. Each opponent attacking the player does the same. I think yes for this one. So, beginning of the next end step. So maybe we should look at end the turn abilities. If this works the way I want it to, that'd be fantastic. List of turn enders. Oh, here we go. Is this it? Time stop. Days Undoing. Discontinuity. They're all blue. Glorious End. I can't do that. I don't want to lose the game for ending the turn. Sundial of the Infinite. Pay 1, end the turn. Activate this ability only during your turn. That's annoying. Obeka Brute Chronologist. Chronologist. Sorry, I'm getting stupid. Wow, okay, so there's only 6 cards in the game that end the turn. More than half of them are blue. That's annoying. Well, that's not gonna happen. Okay, Exile it. What happens to the card when it's exiled? Okay. No, because if I look up cast from exile, it's like, oh, this thing has cast this card from your graveyard from its flashback cost, then exile it. Ugh. This is another rule that follows. If the card doesn't say you can, then you can't. There are a handful of cards that explicitly return other cards from exile. Rift Sweeper. I really hope it's not expensive. Oh, $1. Yes. Thank God. So the plan is, Rift Sweeper can get me back a cards from exile that so I can use again. Now it says down here Eldrazi cards can put stuff back, which could definitely be interesting. Okay, so what I'm thinking is all of these cards target opponents. Okay, so what I'm thinking is I can add Ulamog's Despoiler. So I want to give my opponent one of these cards, an Eldrazi, and then convince them to return one of my exiled cards to my graveyard. So I'm just getting one back. It's sort of like repetition of... So I can use my cards again, basically. Okay, I'm definitely adding Ulamog's Despoiler to the main deck. There we go, added. Wasteland Strangler because I can my opponent can target something else. So that might be interesting. I think I can cast Squee from exile, but I'm not really interested in putting Squee in my deck. Oh, plus Squee's a legendary card, so I can't target it anyway. Okay. Okay, I think a lot of these cards are not legendary, which is fantastic. Oh, I can't even use Guillaume. Okay, Guillaume's got to go. He's a legendary. Alright, what else have we got? Whose turn it is. Can use during combat for blockers. Yes, I've definitely looked at indestructible cards and cards that they can use to block. Non-legendary creature card. Definitely following that. Goaded. Positive effects for attacking my opponents. I have looked into that. We do have a few curses there, which might help. Oh, that looks good. We have a few curses, but I'll definitely look more into positive effects for attacking my opponents. Definitely more Karazikar type of effects, sorry. So when one of my opponents attacks one of another, I get a positive effect for it. So that's done. Beginning of the next end step. Unfortunately, ending the turn is not a possibility in my colors. Exile it. What happens to the card when it's exiled? Can I recast it potentially from exile? Yes, we have looked into that. We've got Ulamog's Despoiler and Wasteland Strangler, which could potentially return one of my cards from exile into my graveyard, as long as I talk to my opponent about it, and just we sort of make a deal. So that's done. Flicker Blink effects to return it to my side of the field. So exile target creature, return. Not in blue, not in white. This is going to be weird. So what I want to do is I want to exile one of my creatures that I'm giving to my opponents, then it comes back to my side of the field. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of exile target creature you control. I might need to look up exile target creature you own. Maybe untap effects as well. I'm just thinking about that. Yeah, maybe we need untap effects. So I can continue to do this effect multiple rounds, or multiple times in a round. Just in case, just to have that option. Ghostly Flicker, Area Interlude. I don't think this is something that blue does. Just chucking it out there. I don't think my colors can flicker. Basalt Monolith, no. Panharmonicon, no. Can't use any of that. Can't use any of that. Nope. Top 10 best flicker cards in MTG. What a fantastic list. Okay, this is interesting. Kaya is interesting. Okay, so I've got Kaya here. Exile Kaya, Ghost Assassin, or up to one target creature. Return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of your next upkeep. You lose 2 life. I think that's a good ad. If I give my opponent a creature during my turn, I can then exile it and put it on my field for free. Sort of like cheating it in, I guess. Warstorm Surge. What was the other one? Pandemonium? Yeah, Pandemonium we need to add. I think I'll add Warstorm Surge just as well. Why not? Because Pandemonium is Warstorm Surge for everyone. Where is it? Pandemonium. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, that creature's controller may have it deal damage equal to its power to target creature or player of his or her choice. So when I give an opponent an Artisan of Kozilek, they get to deal 10 damage to something. And if I'm giving them an Artisan of Kozilek, they are going to choose someone else. So it's not going to be me. Okay, I have looked at a serious lot of cards this past hour. So what we've got after this hour is 20 cards. Technically, a lot more than that because we have a few in the maybe board. So I'm going to move a couple of these cards over to the actual deck. And I'll get back to you in a sec. Okay, these creatures down here, I'm not... Oh, Soulgorge Org. Sorry, I'm having a stroke. Soulgorger Org is definitely a yes. That's staying. Gerard's Order, search your library for 2 creature cards from reveal and put one in your hand, the other in graveyard. for 4 mana? I don't know. Maybe I need some discard and draw cards. Holy cow, I've been recording for like an hour and 10 minutes. Okay. Okay, well, we've got the basics of the deck. We have the outline. This is honestly like a pretty mean deck, if I'm being honest. This is really mean. I have a few instant kill cards, like, as in if I give the creature to the opponent, they just lose. Inverter of Truth is like a 50-50. Leveler is basically you lose the game. Oh my god, lose the game effects. What am I doing? Advanced Search. Rules text, you lose the game. I have one on my mind that should definitely be added. Okay, first one is Phage. I feel like Phage is fantastic. If I can just give my opponent a Phage, they just instantly lose because they didn't cast it. So, that's going in. For sure. And a Platinum Angel. Because why not? If I give them a Platinum Angel, I'm a nice guy. Plus, I can always cast the Platinum Angel. It's always a good card to have. So, we now have 40 cards in our main deck. Oh, untap effects. That's fine. I'll go through that by myself. I think I've been recording for way too long anyway. I apologize to future me for editing this. I think this is definitely a seriously good start to the deck. It's already 68% competitive. This deck is very, very mean. I apologize to whoever I have to play against. Look at this deck, and then this is one Root Weaver Druid, because I thought it'd be really cool. Alright, thank you so much for watching. I will finish off this deck, and I might put it at the end of the video if I finish it in time, I guess. So yeah, thanks for watching. I will see you guys in the next episode. Peace. Alright, welcome back to Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. This is going to be part 1 of 2, as we have 2 achievements left to complete for the game. Now the achievements are Let's Duel. Declare attack to monsters 100 or more times in ranked events/duels. So, ranked/events duels. God damn. Burn it all. Deal a total of 100,000 or more damage with card effects in ranked/event duels. So, what we're going to be doing first is